What's up, guys? Welcome. Getting all the live streams going on here. Radio program starting up momentarily as we get everything up and going. Got a big show lined up today. Holy cow.
Till broadcast.
A lot of stuff to talk about today. Actually, we're going to talk some down-home conversation, some legislation here in Kansas making its way to other nations as well. Nebraska presenting their own piece of legislation. Other states doing the same. You know, federalism at its best, right? Right out of the gate, man. Excited to have on the and it's been a while since we've had this group on, the Independent Women's Forum, Independent Women's Law Center. May Mailman, she'll be joining us, senior fellow with the organization. We'll talk about the Women's Bill of Rights here in Kansas. A fellow Kansas native, although I'm not a native, but she'll be with us. Bottom of the hour, Adrian Kubicki. He's the general consul for the Republic of Poland as the consulate in New York City. So we'll chat with him about some federal budgets, how Poland has been able to get rid of some of their debts and stuff as well. All the friends over on OpsLens. What's up, guys? Welcome. OpsLens.com with your website, app, social media. A lot of people jumping on there. Hold on, I got to type it out. Happy
till broadcast.
Friday. There we go. Okay. We got that. Plus, we have some more social programs the Democrats are pushing for. And a heck of a lot more. Yeah, I know. That's why we need 3 hours. I'm telling you, if you want to comment on some of the social media, you're more than welcome to. Email us, HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Also, check out the website at HooserMedia.com, HooserReason.com. Donald Trump's still not in prison yet. Interesting.
30 seconds till broadcast.
Yeah. All right. If you're on the live streams, welcome aboard. Make sure to like it out, share it out. Leave that comment. Break that algorithm on social media. Let the rest of the world know we're here, although we are dominant on it, and we thank you so much for it. Radio program starting momentarily. Hang tight.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
Fighting for freedom every day.
Republicans right now, the conservatives, which unfortunately, this is what we have to do every time, even after a vote where people are sick and tired of the establishment, they're sick and tired of the squeezy, middle-of-the-road, squishy kind of Republican rhinos, and we vote conservatives in, then we have to fight tooth and nail in D.C. to actually be heard within the Republican Party.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Holy cow, man, it's a pre-Friday already. The Thursday, ready to rock and roll for another one. And there is no chance we're going to get to everything we want to talk about on the show today like we do every single day. So welcome into it. This is The Voice of Reason. I am Andy Hooser, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas on our flagship radio station. But we are all over the place. Multiple radio stations, TV, live streaming, podcasting, however you watch or listen. Love you to death. Appreciate you hanging out. Your millennial general reporting for duty like we do every single day. Holy cow, man. So lots to talk about today. Bottom of the hour, Adrian Kubicki. He's the general consul, the consulate for the Republic of Poland, based out of New York City. We're going to talk about some federal budgets. The progressives, the Democrats, the Biden administration pushing still for Joe Biden's budget. I don't think we've talked about a presidential budget request or proposal this long before. You remember Barack Obama? I mean, I guess Barack Obama was a little bit special because he was kind of like the icon for the Democrats at that time, and everything he said was golden, and he was God as he tried to promote whatever socialist propaganda that he wanted. But Bush and Clinton, even Trump, when they proposed their budgets, we're like, yeah, thanks. And then we moved on. But the Democrats, man, really railing on the expansion of these government programs, and yet still going into the mindset that they're going to cut budgets somehow under the Biden budget proposal. So we'll talk about some of that coming up in a bit. How does that compare to other nations, especially those in Europe trying to deal with shenanigans? We'll talk with Adrian about that at the bottom of the hour. I want to bring it back down to the home front, though. As you know, we broadcast out of Kansas, and there are many states across the nation that are working on similar pieces of legislation right now as well. But this one making national attention right here in Kansas. This is why I love Kansas, because we are the trend setters in many aspects. In other aspects, we fall behind on issues, but we're kind of the trendsetters on other ones. We've had Sam Brownback, former governor, who is now still, at least I believe, I don't think Biden kicked him out, as the religious ambassador to the United Nations, UN ambassador. And he's still rocking it. We've had Mike Pompeo, obviously, major figure icon, potential presidential candidate in 2024, as he was the Secretary of State under the Trump administration. We've had a lot of influence. Chris Kobach, now our Attorney General in our state, who also was potentially going to be working with the Trump administration on immigration issues and a heck of a lot more. Kansas really paving the way on many issues. This one, however, causing a lot of controversy. And I don't quite know why it causes so much controversy, because it should just be a commonsensical kind of thing. But we don't use common sense in today's world, do we? No, not really. So, there is a bill in our state legislature right now called Senate Bill 180. It is the Women's Bill of Rights. And yes, it defines the definition biologically between a man and a woman. I know that's a crazy concept. I know it. In today's times, if you say that, then you're already appropriating somebody, or you're a closed-minded bigot, or you're the most horrible human being on the face of the earth. But it actually defines a man and a woman biologically, and it ties in with a couple bills we have in the state legislature that includes the women's sports bill that makes sure that women and girls are the only ones actually participating in girls' sports across the state of Kansas in public schools and higher education as well, for obvious reasons. But it's got a lot of pushback, obviously, from some of the progressives, the quote-unquote woke individuals, the transgender individuals in the state. That's caused some national debate. So to have on the program to talk about some of this and more, where are we, and why is it getting so much pushback, and what are other states doing as well? Really excited to have back on the program senior fellow with the Independent Women's Law Center. Happy to have on May Malin, and she is a Kansas native. May, how are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, excited to have you on. First off, welcome back to the airwaves in Kansas. I know you're not in Kansas right now, but you got to miss Kansas a little bit, don't you?
I do. I miss Jayhawk basketball games a lot, and yeah, it's a great day. I miss Kansas Day in Topeka, the best day that there is.
Yeah.
Kansas is a great state.
It is a great state, right in the heartland. I think everybody wishes deep down, even if they've never been here, they wish to be in the state of Kansas. Let's talk about this issue because, like I said in the intro, we've fallen behind on some issues. I think the marijuana issue, which our legislature doesn't want to address or talk about, and they just kind of put it under the table year after year, is something where we're not quite up on the times with. But this one, we were front and center, and we were one of the first states after the reversal of Roe v. Wade to try and do a constitutional amendment giving power back to the legislature on abortion laws in the state of Kansas. Now we have these couple different bills in our state legislature on Women's Bill of Rights. Where are we with these bills, and why is it causing so much controversy on the national scale right now?
Yeah, so as you said, Kansas is a leader. The Kansas Senate was the first chamber to pass, out of at least that chamber, the definition of a woman. So the Kansas House still needs to vote on it, and then Laura Kelly needs to sign it. Of course, Governor Kelly campaigned on she knows the difference between a man and a woman, and she's not going to let men play women's sports. But then when that bill comes to her again, she vetoes it. So that's just what we call lying to the public, and she apparently is not going to be held accountable for it, although she should. But the bill that I am working on is, as you said, Senate Bill 180, very common sense. There's a lot of polling that say Kansans understand the need for women's only spaces. Obviously, women should not have to need to justify the need for women's only spaces. And it just would give some clarity, because when you don't have a definition of woman, then guess who can jigger with that? Everyone. And so the governor can say, you know what we're going to do? We're going to let men be in women's prisons, which is a thing that happens in Kansas and in other states. They can say men can play women's sports. They can really mess around with it. So when you have a definition, then the legislature would have to speak clearly when they say, you know what, we're actually not going to have women's sports in Kansas. We're going to have women plus men who have taken certain drugs. Okay, great. So nothing is settled. It just defines women, and then it puts the burden on the legislature to say what they mean clearly.
Yeah. As you mentioned, it goes beyond just the sports thing, which I don't know how many trans athletes in the state of Kansas specifically are trying to play as women, as a real man trying to play in women's sports. I don't know how many are happening. I can't think of many cases where that's actually happening, but it is good to define this. But it goes beyond just the athletic side of it for a second, like you mentioned with the prisons, with a man going into the women's prison. But doesn't this also affect issues of, if we truly honestly try to say, well, if you're a male, a biological male trying to pretend to be a woman, then when you apply for jobs, or when you try to apply for college, or when you would try to apply for scholarships or for grants or for whatever, I mean, doesn't this open up the Pandora's box of just weirdness to where you could apply for all the stuff when that's truly not who you are?
Absolutely. So there's been some focus on scholarships and opportunity for women to be more involved in STEM fields, so science, technology, math, those type of areas. And women are able to have not just affinity groups, like when you get to college, you can be part of Women Who Code or whatever, but also specific scholarship opportunities. You can bet that if you don't define what a woman is, that those opportunities will go to men. And I think there has been, from the left, a lot of, well, we haven't seen that be abused yet. Okay, well, maybe it hasn't hit the media yet, but why would you wait until someone has a scholarship opportunity ripped from them? Why would you wait to harm a woman before you go and speak? Like, why are you waiting for girls to get abused by the system? That doesn't make any sense to me.
No, it doesn't make any sense. And I've asked this question every time we bring up this topic. The actual feminist movements in the nation, the radical left-wing progressive feminists, where women can do anything a man can do and even better because men are just evil, horrible human beings and, toxic masculinity and all this other garbage. When they talk about this issue, where do they stand? Because obviously feminism grew for a while trying to bring women to the forefront and not be behind men in society. Are they on board with, you're welcome to come over with us because you recognize how awesome we are? Or are they upset and saying, wait a second, you're taking away all the stuff we've worked so hard to try to accomplish by a man coming in and dominating again?
So this issue is bipartisan. The feminists on the left are actually with the conservatives on the right. In the main group is called the Women's Liberation Front. And they agree that women are deserving of protection. They focus on, different things than conservatives do. I think for them, lesbians don't need to have their space, their dating apps, etc., invaded by men. I think they would focus a lot more on discrimination in the workplace and things like that, where women do need specific protections. And then if you need to protect women, you have to know what a woman is. So I think the media would portray this as, a reasonable person or the left doesn't agree with this. They think that a woman should be, whatever you think it is. But that's not actually true. The right and the left agree. They all know what a woman is. And it is the radicals. It is very progressive leftists who don't even really, I think, know what their agenda is. It's just they know that they need to attack anything that the right says must be bad. So they've got to attack it. And you just end up in this very bizarre space because it's like, that's not how Kansans think. That's not what's good for women. But I think we saw this with COVID. Well, if the Republicans say it might come from a lab, then that must be wrong, and we've got to attack it, even though that's just, not how people think. It's not true.
Exactly. Do you think that they're just, it almost sounds like they're almost running out of things to complain about. Obviously, there's a lot of things to fix in the nation, a lot of things to make better, a lot of things to complain about or challenge or at least even question within the system, and I use the air quotes, the system in the country. But is this just almost even like a first world problem to where we've run out of woke things to try and change because we want to be like our parents and our grandparents who were the icons of protests and changing the world around us, and they've kind of run out of things to do, so this is just the next best one they could find?
Yeah, I do think that when you have a nation that is as well off as we are, that you end up making people's lives worse because of all your free time to think about things. And so we have to ruin what words mean. I mean, this is something that a starving nation would never engage in. And yeah, there are academics who have been talking about this for a very long time, that words are oppressive, these types of things that only a professor could say. And it hadn't really hit the mainstream until recently. But I think you're right. It just shows that the people on the left need to find jobs, need to have families. They need to provide for their families. They need to have some sort of day-to-day area to focus their attention, because, making a mockery of the English language it just should not be on anyone's priority list.
Exactly. Mate, we got to take a hard break here. Can you stick over one more segment with us?
Absolutely.
Awesome. I love the conversation. I want to keep it going. When we come back here, I want to focus on the attack from the media, the attack from the other side with a bill like we're seeing here in Kansas. Just the definition of what a man and woman is apparently is transphobic. Do they have a legitimacy with that attack, or is it just because they're losing the argument and they just go to the name calling? We'll do that when we come back here with May from the Independent Women's Forum. Stay right here on The Voice of Reason.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Andy Hooser here, reminding you not only can you listen to The Voice of Reason on your favorite radio station, but also check out the video of the program on TV and online. We're excited to be working with our partners over at OpsLens to bring The Voice of Reason live every day on their website at opslens.com, on the OpsLens app that you can download on any of your smartphones, or on any of the OpsLens social media. It's a great network that broadcasts multiple shows promoting truth, reason, and common sense, reaching thousands of viewers every day, all day long. Plus, while you're there, you can always watch some of the best highlights of the show during the weekends, or read our latest opinion columns on topical issues of the day. Also, if you want to interact with me during the program, just leave a comment on their social media or the OpsLens app stream. You can always join the live chat rooms, or if it's easier, just email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Again, that's HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. This is your show, and we want to hear from you. Why? Because it's time for you to be your own voice of reason in your own community. Looking for more reason? Well, now you can get even more content from The Voice of Reason through our Patreon site. It's your exclusive membership for being the ultimate Hoosier-holic. On our Patreon, you'll get additional interviews and content that we don't get to air on the radio, behind-the-scenes action from the Hooser Media Network, plus one-on-one video streams where you can catch up with me, guests of the show, and other great Voice of Reason supporters. Plus, you can also support the show by checking out our gear and swag. Find the link on our website at HooserReason.com. Again, that's HooserReason.com. Become the ultimate Hoosier-holic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com, or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com, or find our contact information at HooserReason.com. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners, and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on The Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with The Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosier-holic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hoosier Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HoosierReason.com. For a schedule of upcoming guests on the program, daily show topics, or to reach out to the Hoosier Media Network, visit us on the website at HoosierReason.com. Or for general inquiries, to be a guest on the program, or to have Andy a guest on your program, email us at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Keep fighting for freedom with us every day right here on the Voice of Reason and the Hoosier Media Network. Now, back to the show.
Fighting for freedom every day. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
John Wright, it is. Welcome back into the program. 24 minutes past the hour. Radio, TV, live streaming, podcasting. However you hang out with us, we always love you and appreciate you very, very much. We continue to see podcasts grow, views on the live streams grow, radio listeners, ratings are killing it. Thank you very much. Appreciate you as always. Right now we're talking about kind of on the home front here in Kansas, but it's an issue going on nationwide. I just saw a headline going into the show before we went on. Nebraska is working on a similar bill as well. I know that obviously with the ongoing discussion down in Florida with the public education system, Governor Ron DeSantis, and it's just causing absolute chaos on the other side of the aisle where they're not controlling the dialogue. And the more that they discuss it, the more foolish they look by trying to create definitions because they're just making things up as they go, really basing things on emotion. Now, I get emotions important, not trying to belittle anybody's emotions or feelings. However, you cannot live that way when there's a reality around us that we have to acknowledge as well. Because if you get to that point, then you got something like, like Elizabeth Warren saying that she's a Native American. See what I did there? Yeah, thank you. As we're talking with May right now, May Malin from the senior legal fellow with the Independent Women's Law Center. You can find them online at iwf.org. May, this bill here, you guys have gotten a lot of heat from, obviously, the other side of the aisle. I know Riley Gaines, the All-American swimmer, who actually testified at our legislature here in Kansas regarding some of these bills, and the women's athletics bill, and in this bill, got a lot of heat because, again, the other side is saying that all of this is nothing more than just transphobia. So the question is it truly hating on someone that believes that there's something else, or is it just their go-to whenever they're losing an argument to just fall back on emotion and name-calling?
Right. So I think name-calling is exactly right, and it's important to notice that because when we say, here are the things that we want. We want women to have Girl Scouts. We want women to have women's prisons. We want women to have domestic violence shelters, things that people definitely agree with. And then the other side says, you are anti-trans, you are a transphobe. And then the debate just stops, say, no. Like, let's talk about it. Let's talk about what should be the case and how the process should work. So a lot of this anti-trans stuff is just an opportunity to shut down the conversation. And I have never been around any person on this side of the debate that just doesn't like trans people and is engaged in this to have some sort of discriminatory purpose. Yeah. This is, how I think the world should be, but let's talk about it. And what I think is great about the Women's Bill of Rights is it is a let's talk about it. So once you know what a woman is, once you have defined it, then you can define how spaces should look. So if you think that domestic violence shelters should be co-ed, then you can just legislate that they are co-ed. That's not what Kansans want, I would suspect. But this is not an anti-trans measure. It is a let's figure out who should be in which spaces, and why is it always women who have the burden of saying, no, I deserve this space, and having other people invade it. It also lifts that burden on women and puts it in the political process where it should be.
Amen to that, May. We got about 30 seconds as we wrap up here, but do you think these bills here in Kansas are going to get through, and do we have enough of the Republicans that are going to override the governor's veto on these?
Well, one would hope that the governor, who ran on knowing what the difference between a man and a woman is, would sign it. But I think it's going to take a little bit of effort. This is something that's very popular among voters. So I think it's going to take voters making sure that they they give some top cover to their representatives to do the right thing.
I love it. May, we got to get you back on the show again here soon. I appreciate all the insight. Keep up this fight. Next time you're in Kansas, we'll get you down to Wichita, too. What do you say?
Sounds great.
Hey, wonderful. It's May Mailman. We appreciate you very, very much. Keep up that fight. It's the Independent Women's Forum, IWF.org, if you want to learn more about them. And we'll continue that conversation later. When we come back, Adrienne Kubicki right around the corner here on The Voice of Reason for a pre-Friday celebration.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. You know, when I get off the air every day, the battle for me against limited government, censorship, and even unfactual content is far from over. That's why now I'm so happy to say that the Hooser Media Network is giving you more opportunity to catch the Voice of Reason along with other great shows and podcasts. It's been a long time in the works, and now you can finally enjoy more great content, services, and topical shows. We're the safe space for alternative talk, information, and ideas that the mainstream media absolutely hates, from holistic and alternative medicine, discussions on religion and spirituality, pure entertainment shows, and of course yours truly with the Voice of Reason. Plus, we offer numerous media services, including helping you set up your own podcast. Become your own Voice of Reason and bring your expertise to any fun issue or topic. For information on all of our shows, links to podcasts, each show website or social media link, or to find out about everything we do to challenge the mainstream establishment, visit our website at HooserMedia.com. Again, that's HooserMedia.com, the future of media. The Hooser Media Network continues to grow every single day with new shows, new content, and new information as we continue to fight the narrative against the mainstream and give you the alternative view of the world. The Hooser Media Network is home to great TV, radio, and podcasting programs on any topic of any interest, from politics and current events to religion and spirituality, holistic and alternative health, entertainment, motivational speakers, and so much more. And with the Hooser Media Network, you can enjoy great podcast programs like Safe Space with Cheyenne.
There is a show on Gaia, and it's called Galactic Messages, where they talk to the Taygetians out of the Pleiadian star system. There's a bunch of in the Pleiadians, so they don't say they're Pleiades. They're Taygetians from the star system. And they were explaining how karma has been rewritten to work against us. So they're like, yes, if you do something, it sends out like that negative vibration. You do have to, like, it's kind of a boomerang you send out, it'll come back, and you need to make it right. But in order to make it right, you have to understand what you did. You have to forgive yourself, and then moving on, you don't do that again. So yeah, I'm not saying if like I killed someone in this life that I don't automatically have to come back and figure it out in another lifetime. But there's a lot of karma that people in the human race are holding on to because they either do it from a religious standpoint and then go continue to do it, and then just, you know, it's some weird cycle they're putting themselves in. So I, from a very humble and humility standpoint, have been like, guys, there's no way we're coming back, right? Like, we're doing the right things now. We have the rest of our life to dedicate to the good and to the light work and, you know, servicing humanity, so to speak. I'm like, but I barely made it through my 20s. So like, let's talk about what other dimensions I can go float around on, or maybe I can go just make sacred geometry and the 8 or 12 for a while. Like, I don't want to act very cocky when I say this is my last incarnation, but I really do feel that this is my last earthly incarnation, and I sleep well.
There's ego attached to that. I think there's a deep sense of knowing. First of all, I would like to submit that Earth is probably one of the greatest universities, spiritual universities in the galaxy. So when people say, what are you talking about? Earth is a prison, Earth is this, and Earth is an extraordinary opportunity to take a giant leap on your spiritual path, because it is a great and higher education it's a university for your spirit, for your soul to confront itself. And if you learn in this lifetime, not that you've made good or bad karma, because you didn't mention good karma, right? But not that you have to pay for your karma, not that you have to, that karma can, I mean, what you said doesn't exactly resonate with me. I believe that the idea of karma is this beautiful measure from which you can direct yourself to what you perceive as good or bad or right or wrong or ethical and moral, by not thinking, if I do this, I'm going to create bad karma, but just recognizing that you are in the end the master of your destiny, even if you perceive of a higher being, which of course I do, beyond your own being, because you are a creature you are a creature, let's say, of God. I like to refer to God as prime creator. Still, you have a framework where you are, like people say, well, let's just hope the universe handles it. And I always say, well, let's give the universe some help, because we are free will individuals still, and we came here to exercise that capacity to choose between the poles, the polar realities of good, bad, light, dark, etc. So if you're just going to sit back and say, well, let's wait for the universe to handle it, you're in passive mode, and I don't understand what you're doing here.
Listen to all these programs and so much more as we try to bring back knowledge, wisdom, and truth back into the world. And we do that right here with the Hooser Media Network, the future of media.
When Reason Meets Radio. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Holy cow, covered a lot of ground already for the first half hour of the program. On the home stretch now, ready to rock and roll for the pre-Friday. Welcome into it, trying to cram that 10 pounds of reason into that 5-pound bag, trying to rebrand the millennial generation, one radio listener at a time, multiple stations all over the place. Welcome, love you to death. Thanks again to May Mailman, a Kansas native. She's not in Kansas right now, but Kansas native, talking about some of the legislation going on here and how it's impacting the national stage. It's crazy. So we've talked about it before on the program. Remember that it's always a cycle. In society, it's always a cycle. The hard times create hard men. The hard men create the good times because they work hard at doing it. That's all they know how to do is survive. And when they have to survive, they continue to grow and flourish and prosper. The good times create weak men because they don't have to do that anymore. Some try to continue to do so. Others just get lazy because they got it good now. And those weak men create the weak times. And the weak times create the hard men all over again. We're kind of at that cycle. What's going to be the next step? Because we have those good times, but the good times are starting to wane, and we have to remind ourselves how to create those good times again, or are going to let that cycle continue to worsen as we see now. Again, I don't know what the cause is to try and challenge the gender of somebody, but if you feel something, then apparently something different, then apparently we're sitting around with way too much time on our hands and just not giving a crap and just getting something done to prosper, flourish, and do something more productive, which leads us to our next What's Trending story of the day.
What's trending today?
There's a headline that I saw from the state of Pennsylvania. The city of Philadelphia is working on a piece of legislation for the new universal basic income. I mean, trying to take care of individuals when they're at home. They are now passing legislation within the city in certain parts of the city of Philadelphia where they're going to be paying women $1,000 a month while they're preggo. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. If you are pregnant in certain parts of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, they'll be paying individuals $1,000 a month. Now, that's not going to create any type of career motherhood, is there? We already have a conversation of some women in society, unfortunately, who take advantage of the whole child support system of wanting to be a single mother but having kids constantly to continuously get a paycheck from men, and it just causes an issue. But it does create that sense of dependency. And what are we seeing in today's society? In those quote-unquote good times that are turning into not so good times, we're seeing a massive flux of expansion of government programs when it comes to the expansion of maybe health care or the welfare state. We're looking at a budget where we're already capped out with our federal budget deficit, or our federal government spending caps for the year already until September. We're working on a budget for the 2024 fiscal year, and it's nothing more than a massive expansion of more social programs. We're getting further and further into debt, and it's not sustainable? We're already 100% or over our 100% of our GDP on a national level. How do we get things back under control? Well, one country's been working on actually doing that. Excited to have on the program with us here as he's got the lowdown and the scoop as he's Poland's consul general in New York as he represents a great country in the Republic of Poland. Adrian Kubicki on the line with us here. Adrian, how are you, my friend?
Very good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on. What a contrasting tale of two cities here, isn't it? From America and other parts of the world where they're starting to figure out how to get their budgets under control, and we're just trying to figure out how to not get too far into debt right now.
Well, I think in the global village, some of the dynamics are pretty much the same. Maybe it's only a matter of scale. So indeed, some of the solutions that are implemented somewhere else in the world can be implemented also here in America. We're happy to share, our budget deficit has been significantly lower, over 50% lower than expected. Which means that given the inflation, given the post-COVID, post-pandemic crisis, economic crisis, and kind of a tight situation, we still were able to secure a decent amount of cash for the needs that we have also ahead of us. Also, given the help that has been provided for Ukraine very recently, something that we are very proud of. And I think that the recipe is simpler than many people might think. It's not even about the increase of the taxes, because the reality is that the government of Poland was able to lower down some of the taxes imposed on people. But it's a matter of perseverance in terms of collecting those taxes, filling up all the gaps that have been kind of tolerated for years. And now, if you seal the fiscal system and make people pay what they need to pay, the entrepreneurs, business owners pay what they own, just their part and their contribution, stop them from escaping with the taxes to some of the tax paradises. This is the basic recipe for reshaping and improving budget, and in that case, budget deficit.
It's wild to see actually the reduction in deficit, because we're not seeing that, at least here in the United States. Now, first off, before you mentioned Ukraine, I want to ask that before we get back into the budgetary issue. How is Poland doing? I know a lot of the refugees from Ukraine are going into Poland. How is the country handling it? And is the process going smoothly, trying to take these individuals in and help out in that process?
That's another way of doing it, which is probably completely new blueprint. In terms of handling refugee crisis, Poland never tend to lock Ukrainians in any form of refugee camps, which would also, by the way, come as a burden, as a cost for the society. Instead of that approach, we actually invited Ukrainians to be a part of, full part of our societies. They're not granted with the citizenship, but they are receiving work permits. And they have access to healthcare. Children have access to education, which enables especially women to seek jobs and basically go working. And one thing is a matter of dignity, to help those people to move on with their life for as long as they need. But second aspect is this positive impact on our society. They become part of the circle, so they also contribute, and I think that this is something that many people understand, and that makes sense pretty much if you help those people integrate. So it comes as a certain burden and obviously certain costs to accommodate. Right now, over 2 million people still living in Poland, Ukrainians living in Poland. Yeah. But if you count all those people who work, who contribute this or another, it makes more sense and obviously complete this circle.
Yeah, exactly. Do you think that the COVID pandemic, the global shutdown that we saw, really the great reset of the economy on the global scale, do you think that really woke up some countries on how to tackle these things, make sure that we're in a better position? God forbid something like this ever happen again. You mentioned that you guys started limiting your deficit shortly after COVID, as we've kind of gone the opposite direction. Was that kind of the wake-up call, do you think?
Well, I think that there were many different factors that we had to take into consideration in terms of reshaping, scheduling our budget years, anticipating the crisis and anticipating the recession that we think that hasn't come yet, but we're still looking for the biggest wave that will hit our economies. Perhaps, maybe not, but this is something we have to be ready for. And looking for the sources of income, like United States of America, Poland offered very generous packages to entrepreneurs, to business owners, to ordinary people to survive pandemic. That kind of raised inflation, obviously, everywhere globally. And now you have to combat that. You have to battle that. And the big question is how you pay your bills. And you can do it in various ways, but we think that creating any additional burden to people would not be a solution, would only make things worse. But the answer is just to look up and check if everyone pays what they're supposed to pay, not more, but just what they were supposed to pay. And apparently, always fiscal system can be more pursuant, more tight, and this is something that basically has been implemented and it's working out. We found additional money that were injected into the budget, and hence to that we were able to end up the year with the lower deficit, much lower than expected.
Yeah, I love it. We're talking with Adrian Kubicki. He's the Consul General for the country of Poland, based out of New York. We got just about a minute and a half left here, so as we kind of wrap up, but I got to ask you, Americans' perception on the concept of socialism. We hear about democratic socialism from individuals like Bernie Sanders and from Democrats here in the country trying to talk about socialism and how Europe does it so well, and the Netherlands, and how the Nordic countries do it so well, and how Europe does it so great. We need more socialist programs. Is that concept accurate on their description of how socialism is done out there, or are European countries starting to move the other direction?
Well, the socialism has a very bad connotations for a country like Poland that went through the dozens of years of communism, and looking at the damages that have been made. And obviously, the leveling kind of concept of socialism is to some extent something different. But we have to watch and observe how some of the programs work. And we know that Europe overall probably goes in that direction. Poland has a little bit different view and different take on that. We believe that if we want to implement programs that will help some of the people getting more included, and obviously this is good by definition, but it has to be run smart just to make sure that people are working, people are contributing. The system should not be discouraging from people, waking up every morning and going to work, because this is what they have to do, basically.
What a concept. Getting people to contribute, actually paying into the system, actually working in a private sector, and then paying the taxes. The government sees revenue, they can fund their projects, and we don't have a universal basic income like they're trying to push on us right now, which is kind of silly. It's Adrian Kubicki with the Consul General for the country of Poland. Adrian, appreciate you so much coming on the program, my friend. Keep up the fight. We'd love to get you back on again soon.
Thank you very much. Absolutely. Thank you very much.
You bet. Appreciate you. There is great information. We'll break some of that down when we come back. We got one more segment here right around the corner. What does that mean as we continue to move down this road of socialism here in the country? The Bernie Sanders-ites, the progressives trying to go into the more dependency states. Well, they're like, hey, maybe you shouldn't do that, America. Lots more coming up.
With Andy Hooser.
Andy Hooser here, reminding you not only can you listen to the Voice of Reason on your favorite radio station, but also check out the video of the program on TV and online. We're excited to be working with our partners over at OpsLens to bring the Voice of Reason live every day on their website at opslens.com, on the OpsLens app that you can download on any of your smartphones, or on any of the OpsLens social media. It's a great network that broadcasts multiple shows promoting truth, reason, and common sense, reaching thousands of viewers every day, all day long. Plus, while you're there, you can always watch some of the best highlights of the show during the weekends, or read our latest opinion columns on topical issues of the day. Also, if you want to interact with me during the program, just leave a comment on their social media or the OpsLens app stream. You can always join the live chat rooms, or if it's easier, just email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Again, that's HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. This is your show, and we want to hear from you. Why? Because it's time for you to be your own voice of reason in your own community. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. You want some more reason throughout the day? Well, now it's easier than ever to find. Here's what you do. Check out the website at HooserReason.com. There you can find past shows, links to all of our social media, special features, our monthly blogs, and a heck of a lot more. Plus, make sure to check in frequently as we're constantly working to add more goodies that you'll really enjoy. Also, you can always subscribe and follow our social media sites for bonus content, articles that we use on the show, or maybe some additional rants. Yeah, it's all that and so much more. Check it all out at HooserReason.com. Looking for more reason? Well, now you can get even more content from The Voice of Reason through our Patreon site. It's your exclusive membership for being the ultimate Hoosier-holic. On our Patreon, you'll get additional interviews and content that we don't get to air on the radio, behind-the-scenes action from the Hoosier Media Network, plus one-on-one video streams where you can catch up with me, guests of the show, and other great Voice of Reason supporters. Plus, you can also support the show by checking out our gear and swag. Find the link on our website at HooserReason.com. Again, that's HooserReason.com. Become the ultimate Hoosier-holic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. As we continue to grow as a radio and TV program, we're continuously working behind the scenes to try and bring more common sense and reason to more patriotic Americans all over the country. That's why we're super excited to be working with the OpsLens team to bring you the Voice of Reason every single day. OpsLens is a national online network bringing you incredible content all day from hosts all over the country. And each host brings their own unique experience and expertise to the current events, reaching hundreds of thousands of patriotic Americans daily. Make sure to check out their website at opslens.com. Make sure to download the OpsLens website and follow them on all of these social media sites that you like so you can watch all their live streaming content, including ours right here with The Voice of Reason. Plus, if you want more of The Voice of Reason, check out our website online at HooserReason.com. There you can listen to the live audio feed of the show every single day. You can read our monthly blog. You can check out our satire infomercials. You can see pictures of what we're doing, upcoming schedule of events, and a heck of a lot more. On the website, you can find our list of radio and TV affiliates in your area. Find our social media links, and while you're there, sign up for our free newsletter. Over the last 2 years, your Voice of Reason newsletter has grown exponentially. It's completely free, and in it we give you your monthly motivation, upcoming civic holidays for the month, a recap from the show from last month, upcoming guests on the program, along with the latest news from our Hoosier Media Network. It's pretty simple. All you got to do is go to the website at HooserReason.com and become the next Hoosier-holic. Finally, follow us on all of our social media sites. With the iron grip control on content from the radical left, unless you follow us, you're not going to be able to see us. It's been an ongoing battle with shadow banning on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, where even our own fans are having a hard time finding our content. But the battle isn't over. We'll continue to bring you the best content we can on as many platforms as possible. You can follow us with the handle at Hoosier Reason. No matter what social media site you like to use, you can find us there. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch.tv, Instagram, TikTok, ourfreedombook.com, Parler, and of course our website at HooserReason.com. Don't miss it while we give you a heads up on some of the events that I may be attending or speaking at, updates of behind-the-scene projects, or just something sarcastic to try and rile up the left. The battle for freedom is real, and we want to be part of that battle as we want you to be your own voice of reason in your own community. Conservative principles happen at the grassroots level, and that's what we're here to help with. And together, you and I can fight back against this virus that's spreading across the nation that is socialist policy, trying to destroy this country. We can bring us back to some constitutional values, some individual sovereignty, and the right for you to be able to make your own choices when you deem necessary for you, your family, and your community. In a world of fake news and information overload, it's time to bring back some reason, common sense, guidance, and a little bit of wisdom. And that's what we're here to do. This is the Voice of Reason.
Fighting for freedom every day. The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Welcome back into the program. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Man, covered a lot of ground today. Thanks again to May coming on the program, Adrian coming on the program, anywhere from gender, apparently trying to figure out what gender we are in society, to budgets and the common sense. Have you noticed that I'm starting to laugh more and more at the socialists on the other side of the aisle here in the country, because as they're saying, we need more pure socialism, we need Democrat socialism, we need more government handouts, we need the consolidation of the economy into the government to regulate the redistribution of wealth, the democratic socialism to where we can all live happily ever after and have a say in everything. And you've seen the change, the push for it. The Google definition of socialism now, compared to the Merriam-Webster dictionary from, 20 years ago, is vastly different. Look it up, and we've read them here on the show. I have, which is really funny. I got into an argument with someone on social media. This was, a year or two ago, a couple years ago, and they had said that my Webster dictionary, my college preparatory Webster's dictionary hardback that I have was not credible because it's outdated. Therefore, Google and Wikipedia were more accurate because it's up with the times. Now, looking at the definitions of the two on socialism, by the old school definition was the control and distribution of means by government control. On the Google definition of socialism, the means and distribution of goods in the private sector controlled by the people. That's how they like to twist it. Not by the government, but by the people, because the people is represented through the government. So therefore, if it's the government controlling it, by default, it's you controlling it. So what's the problem here? We can control it through the people because it's the government that's actually doing it who says they represent you. And while they continue to push for this, that, Norway and Sweden and Denmark are all these wonderful socialist nations. We've had socialism in Europe forever. It's a wonderful thing. Why don't we get on board? What the hell, America? Why don't you get into the 21st century? Well, we're going that direction. We're kind of a day late and a dollar short because the other nations are moving the opposite direction. Poland, I kind of felt weird asking Adrian Kubicki, the general consul for the country of Poland based out of New York. I felt a little weird asking him about socialism because if you know anything about history, Poland doesn't really care for a lot of socialism. In fact, Poland got invaded by socialism many times, got controlled by communism and socialism between the Russians with their Soviet Union-style communism trying to come from that side of it, and the socialists of Germany back in the 1930s. Don't know what that could have been in any way, shape, or form, as Hitler was the National Socialist Party of Germany and invaded Poland through his expansion of power with the government that was, quote-unquote, for the people. So how does that make you feel on the other side of the aisle there, buddies? Andy, you're just taking the extremes of socialism. If you get a pure socialist society, it'll be great. Yeah. Keep believing it, and we'll keep laughing at you because it's kind of hysterical. Now, come on. All right, so we have the expansion of socialism here in the country right now. As we mentioned, Philadelphia is looking to pay pregnant women $1,000 a month because, by golly, we need to take care of them. And they say it's going to help improve the outcome of births because of parents that may be at low income, not have the proper resources, and that it's going to help them with the birthing. Interesting twist on that one. At the same time, while we're looking at socialism and we're looking at bringing back the child tax credit expansion from the Biden administration and maybe paying for the pregnant women and giving these universal basic income concepts not working, not contributing to society, we had the Pentagon over here yelling and screaming, begging, yelling at the top of their lungs, hoping that their budgets aren't cut as we look at the 2024 federal budget for next year. A headline for the Newsmax.com, Pentagon warns against cuts. Quote, this budget prevents war. As they don't want their budgets cut because for some weird reason in society, one of the actual duties of government is to give national security and protect the nation. Not social programs, by the way. That's not in the it's not the general welfare. Don't even try to use the general welfare clause. That's not what general welfare means in society for social programs. But we have the budget split up to where the general welfare apparently to the other side means all the social programs. And that's just automatic. Don't you dare touch it. The military is what gets cut every time that sometimes even Republicans and Democrats look at quote-unquote budget cuts. It's the military that gets chopped on the block. While we don't touch the other mandatory quote-unquote spending concepts like Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, WIC, and everything else. Not that we should, although we should start moving and transitioning to a private alternative for those. But the defense, the military, protecting our nation is the thing that actually keeps us safe internationally. That's what gets on the chopping block. And they're screaming, please don't cut this from us again. We could be going into some intense times, and you could be putting the country in jeopardy. Notice the priorities from the other side of the aisle. That does it for us today. Podcast up in just a bit. Until then, we're back at it tomorrow for a Friday. This is The Voice of Reason. I'm Andy Hooser. We'll see you on the radio. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. You know, when I get off the air every day, the battle for me against limited government, censorship, and even unfactual content is far from over. That's why now I'm so happy to say that the Hooser Media Network is giving you more opportunity to catch the voice of reason along with other great shows and podcasts. It's been a long time in the works, and now you can finally enjoy more great content, services, and topical shows. We're the safe space for alternative talk, information, and ideas that the mainstream media absolutely hates. From holistic and alternative medicine, discussions on religion and spirituality, pure entertainment shows, and of course yours truly with the voice of reason. Plus, we offer numerous media services, including helping you set up your own podcast. Become your own voice of reason and bring your expertise to any fun issue or topic. For information on all